Water is a basic necessity, yet millions of Nigerians do not have access to potable water. And this affects their life, their health, education, and economic development of the people. From bustling cities to remote villages, the struggle for a safe drinking water is a daily reality for many. Let's dive deeper into it. You're welcome to Discourse on Urbano. My name is Innocent and I am your host with the most. On this episode of Discourse, we will be looking at potable water supply in Nigeria and how it affects Nigerians. Please take a note of this channel. On this channel, we will be discussing real issues that affect Nigerians and the responsibility of stakeholders and the general public in ensuring that every citizen gets good quality of life. If this is an area of your interest, please consider following us on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. In pre-colonial Nigeria, communities relied on natural sources of water, like rivers, like streams, rainwater, and wells. These sources were often clean and abundant. They were also portable and sustaining the population. However, with the onset of colonialism, industrialization, there came significant changes to the natural balance. There came a lot of changes with the colonial administration. The British colonial administration initiated the development of formal water supply. They came with systems in urban cities. However, these systems were only the exclusive of the colonial elites and neglected the broader population. As a result, the majority of the people depended on untreated water supply. The colonial administration established the Water Board, or the Water Corporation as at that time. And it was, as specified earlier, it wasn't that effective because it was for the colonial masters, it was for their lords and the people who worked for them. Our concern is the general populace and how they are affected by those policies and how it worked. It met with a lot of challenges because soon the Water Corporation moved to water boards, and then so went the effectiveness until today. People rely solely on themselves, and some damages have been done to the system, to the ecosystem that was providing potable and fresh water for the populace. Let's come back how all this began. In my youth days, in the local communities, in the villages, in the interiors of communities in Nigeria, people relied on the streams. People relied on potable water. People like us had to go to the village stream to collect water for drinking in the morning and then take our bath in the school, in the stream before we come to attend school. And this water was potable. There was no outbreak of any kind. There was no process of filtration. This was our source of water. There were people who drank from rainwater then. The warning then only was to take care not to collect water from asbestos, from some particular type of roof, asbestos particularly then. Outside that, rainwater was enough. People could drink rainwater and not have any problem. People could drink from the stream. That is how we grew up. We had to go to the village stream, bathe in it, bring back potable water, water for drinking to the home before we could go to school in those days. All that have changed. This happened in our childhood days. Even in our time, a lot also changed before now. Now, the source of water which we depended on as at that time has now gone bad. Industrialization, the washing of oil remnants into water, the depletion of the ozone layer, and a lot of other factors have made former potable water source to become not potable and not safe, not healthy for drinking today. Another process is now required to purify this water before it could get to the common man. And this process is also beyond the common man. And that is why we are coming in to see how government can be involved and every other stakeholder can be involved in the provision of water for the common man. Now, the natural sources of water are all gone bad. There is industrial waste that's being washed into water, polluting the water. In some urban towns, waste, sewage is poured into the water, polluting the water and making it unusable for the common man. Now, the state that we are in requires involvement of government and other stakeholders to make it work for the people. We also witnessed the collapse of the water board as it was that time. In my childhood days, in the secondary school, the water board was effective. The water board provided water. Yes, we used to go to the public water to take water as at that time, to take water for beds and for drinking. The water you drink that time didn't require any other treatment because the water board sourced this water either from the stream or from deep wells sunk into the ground. Now, the water board had its own problems that made it not to be effective in those days. The water board depended on money collected. From what I heard, it depended because we were a little bit small as at that time. The water board was dependent on the money collected from the sales of water to pay the employees of the water board. This accounts for some of the reasons why the water board was not effective, because there was not an organized system. There was not a billing system where people could pay for the water. So the water appears to be free, and the employees who were working there but not paid couldn't continue with their job. This is one of the things that gave rise to the demise of the water board, and people resorted to sinking a borehole as it is today in our communities. Now, let's go on. Now, the challenges of the water board faced was occasioned by the fact that there was no structure for billing, there was no structure for supervision. The water board was built and maybe given to the state government or the local government as at that time to manage, and they didn't have the ability or the capacity to manage it. These are some of the things that killed the water board. Now, as we have seen, the world is advanced, and there are many nations who don't even have natural water today. Yet, those nations have a means of providing water for the populace. This is what we want to bring home to the Nigerian space, so that perhaps the government and the public and other stakeholders can borrow from it and be involved in it. In a country like the UAE, they have natural water, they have open ocean, they have the sea. But you and I know that the water from the sea is not potable. It contains a very large quantity of salt. So literally, what you have to do is what is called desalination, where you have to remove the salt from the water so that people can drink it. Desalination, rather. That is what the country of UAE is doing today, to have water for their people to drink. They literally take the salt out of the water. They have to involve, the government is involved, just like the power sector as it is in Nigeria. The same way government is involved in the power sector, the government can be involved in the water sector. In the UAE, irrespective of how remote the communities are, you have water there. You have water in the desert, and these waters are drinkable, they are potable. You know why? Government build desalination plants all over the place, and by these desalination plants, they are able to provide potable water to their people. They take the salt out of the water, or take the water out of the salt, and then make the water potable for the people. Government got involved, and they have an effective billing system, because power and water are under the same billing system. Yes, you get the bill, you are told the quantity of water you use, and you are told the amount of power that you consume. All of them have their bills. They come together. So if our country, Nigeria, can learn or borrow from this, then it can work for us. Now, we are going to look at how government can be involved and how other stakeholders can be involved. The Nigerian daily life becomes a challenge when there is no water. You need water to bathe, you need water to clean your house, you need water to wash your clothes, you need water to eat, to drink. So life will grind to a standstill. And for some certain communities all over Nigeria today, it is still like that. When the water finally gets to the people, it becomes very, very expensive for the common man. Whereas the involvement of government and multinational oil companies have damaged the source of the people's natural water, there is no alternative given to the people on how to get water to drink. This is the role of the government. The role of the government is to provide legislation, The government of all levels, the government at all levels should provide legislation. Government at all levels should provide the infrastructure for water. For example, in Nigeria, just like it is done in the UAE, the government is involved by providing desalination plants. The government is involved by creating an effective billing system. In Nigeria, if the power can be in the hands of government and now deregulated to involve the private sector, that can be done for the water. That can be done for water. Government can be involved in providing the legal framework, that is to say regulations that should govern the production and the distribution of water. Government can then deregulate perhaps the distribution to the private sector. Now, after government provides the legal framework, that is the legal structure for it, the regulations, government can as well provide the infrastructure that will govern this. Infrastructure like water to remove the salt from water through a process called desalination, and because of this they have to provide facilities, infrastructure for that process. They have to build the desalination plants in diverse places, and by doing that they made water available to their people. In comparison to Nigeria, there's no reason why the government shouldn't do a thing like that, because in comparison to Nigeria water, little or no process of purification is required. We know of communities in Nigeria where a deep well, which is a borehole, is sunk in a place, and that is all people need. Nobody treats the water, and there is no outbreak of any disease or any infection. The reason is because it is a deep well. The water has undergone natural purification. Nothing is actually needed. So if government is involved in the provision of adequate legislation, this legislation should cover both the government activities and then the private sector involvement, even to the public. The regulation should be very strong in ensuring that the process of generation of water, the process of treatment of water, the process and the entire process of production and distribution of water is governed by the law. Having said this, the government should as well provide infrastructure, water treatment plants, water pipelines down to the remote villages, because government will have to involve other stakeholders. Other stakeholders can take up for the remote villages. Even the local government will be involved, all being covered by a federal legislation. That is the involvement of the federal government. In urban towns like the state capitals, the federal and state government can liaise to provide water in the towns, while the local government can be empowered with grants and provisions of infrastructure to provide for the local communities. As I said before, in certain communities, there won't be need for any treatment. All they need is borehole sunk in the place and water pipeline provided to move it from one source to the other where people need it. And then if it involves distribution, if it involves transportation in distribution, government and the private sector can be involved and can even partner to get it done. If this is done, if nations like the UAE, who have to undergo a much more rigorous process of treatment of the water before it can be potable, before it can be considered safe and healthy for drinking, then there is no reason why Nigeria shouldn't do it. And then, like we mentioned earlier, the provision of a strong billing system. This is why we suggested that the water and power should be under the same umbrella, so that they can be under the same billing system as it is also done in the UAE and some other nations of the world. So the billing system will specify the quantity of water you have used and the amount, and the billing system will as well specify the amount of power you have consumed and the amount. These things are clear and they are easy to do, if only because the world is now a global village. Some of those communities that we mentioned earlier that didn't have water or power when we were growing up, those communities are all now under the national grid, because the government has also done tremendous development from those days till now. They even have internet in those communities as we speak. So you see, government has evolved. So government needs partnership with the private sector and the general public. So that there would be a functional system, a functional legal system, a functional infrastructural system that should be protected. That is where the public comes in. That's where the host community is coming. That's where those villages where these infrastructures are located should come in. They should come in with protection of those infrastructures. They shouldn't vandalize it. Neither should they allow strangers to come from anywhere to vandalize it when government has built it. All these should be included in the regulation. The regulation should be a very deep and strong legal framework that will cover the activities of the government and the activities of the private sector and the activities of the general public. And it will make it a criminal offense to vandalize any of those infrastructure, even though the community should also be sensitized to be told, they should be sensitized to the fact, or to the point where they now take responsibility and take ownership of whatever infrastructure government has put in place. For those who enjoy the water board, that brief period that it worked, you know that it was free. Everybody knows that nothing is free these days. The general public should be made to know that usage of water comes at a cost. If government is involved in the provision of that water, then you know you have to pay for it. And you have to also know that just like power sector or power, if you don't pay, your service will be withdrawn. Your service will be disconnected. In the same way, if you don't pay for water, your service will be disconnected. By so doing, some of the investments, even though maybe not 100%, and these are lifelong investment that is expected to last as long as the world lasts. So if on the process of destroying, of vandalizing, if along the line these infrastructures are vandalized, it is the host community that will suffer it. And so if you have to enjoy services from government, you have to pay, so that to a very large extent government should be able to recover the money invested. And if the private sector is also involved, they have to make a certain amount of profit. All this comes from the consumption and the payment of bill. So these two key things government should do, and the private sector should be involved in the protection of those infrastructures. Government provide the legal framework. Government provide infrastructure, the water treatment plant, water production plant, water distribution channel like the pipeline, and then security for the pipeline should be the responsibility of the host communities. Protection for the infrastructure that is located in those communities should be the duty of the host community to protect. Then the host community should be involved. They should subscribe to payment of their bills as at when due, so that life can go on. Because without water, a lot of things gets grounded. Most of the things will not work without water. And so you see the importance of water. You need it to eat. You need it to clean your body. You need it to wash your clothes. You need it to clean your house. You need water virtually for everything we do. You need it for drinking when you are thirsty. And so that is the crucial nature of water. And this is nature for itself. It's not like anybody made it so. That tells you government should pay attention to this area. It is surprising that the government of Nigeria separated, because we have open waters, we have open rivers. Water many people will think it is not an issue. Many people will think that water is not a problem. And I reckon that is why government didn't pay so much attention to it. But the world we live in now requires that government pays attention to it. This regulation should also encompass the oil sector. I mean the multinational oil companies that wash off oil residues into water, polluting water. There should be regulation that should as well govern. Stated, people may think that it is not important, that water is not important, but it is because you do not know how much you have spent on some medical care which comes across, which got you infected because of water. A lot of people go to the hospital to be treated of malaria and typhoid, off and on, year in, year out, spending their money without knowing that it came from the water that they drank. So if you drink polluted water, if you drink contaminated water, you will get sick and you will go to the hospital and spend your money. So if that money was spent to pay for a treated water, pure water that is potable and healthy to drink, you would have avoided that sickness. And so this is the point. This is why we say that water is key to life. In the UAE and in so many advanced countries, you find out that it looks like such sicknesses like typhoid fever has been phased out. You know why? Because your water is treated. The source of typhoid has already been eradicated when the water is treated. So this is another key area that government should consider and individuals should consider. This is what individuals should consider, the public should consider when they are told to pay money, the bill for the water they use. Because you are not just buying water when you pay the bill, you are also buying your health, which is key to whatever you want to do in life. If you are not healthy, you can't go to school. If you are not healthy, you will not be a politician. If you are not healthy, you won't do anything in life. So you see the usefulness of potable water. The key nature of it is that it controls every other facet of our life. That's why we should pay attention to it. And this is why government should come in, because the treatment of the water, no matter how little it is, no matter how little we need to treat the water, then that treatment of the water is beyond the common man. Government should intervene by providing regulation, by instituting laws which must be followed, and we should try to avoid corruption in this system, because a situation where the regulations are there, but people bypass it, people cut corners because they can buy their way through it. The producers, the private sector producers of the water, or those who distribute the water, find a way to take bribe and not follow the regulation. The aftermath, the consequence is better imagined than experienced, because selling untreated water to the people will cause sicknesses, and those people will now spend their money to go treat themselves, money they would have used for other investments and for the other purposes. So it is key. This is something that cuts across every facet of our community. This is why every one of us, all hands must be on deck, from the government to the general public. Everyone must be involved so that Nigeria can have potable, fresh and healthy water to drink and live our life. And so we have tried to say what we think, that if it is done, there will be potable water available for the general public in Nigeria. The situation as it is right now is, if you are able to sink borehole in your house, government shouldn't leave it for the people, because a larger percentage of the population cannot afford to sink borehole in their communities or in their houses. So government should be involved, and the people should cooperate with the government, follow the rules, pay their bills, and protect the infrastructure that government will provide in place for affordable, potable water. This is our show for today. This is our show, and as you can see, this is the maiden edition of this show. More is yet to come. Like we implored you before, subscribe to our channel, like our videos and share them. Click the post notification button in YouTube so that you will not miss any of our videos. Until we see you next time, thank you for being part of this. More is yet to come. Have a lovely time.